The dictionary says the circle is the set of all points around a single point in the center. So remember the last time I gave you that definition? I went over and I went, oh, there's a circle. Let's see if we can check that out. Yeah, it's a set of all points, a whole bunch of little tiny points all strung together. And when you get a little further away from it, it looks like one entire line. So we've got that. Let's go to the arc. The arc is a part of the circumference. Well, the circumference, which is the next line, is this line that goes all the way around the circle. That's the circumference. And an arc is a part of the circumference. It could be pieces of it, little pieces of it from here to here, from here to here. And we put them all together, we get the entire circumference. Okay, and then we have an ellipse. An ellipse is like a circle that you squished. You took it and you sat on it, and it became a squished circle. Okay, that's what an ellipse looks like. Parallel line segments. Remember the parallel line segments? If I drew two parallel lines and I went up through the ceiling and out into the stratosphere, they would never cross. They would never cross each other, no matter how far they went, because they're the same distance apart anywhere along the two lines. Okay, and then a quadrant. That's a new word. You haven't had that one before. A quadrant, if we had, we were plotting points, we would take our paper and we would divide it into 4 equal parts. This is quadrant 1. The upper right-hand corner is quadrant 1. The upper left-hand corner is quadrant 2. Quadrant 3, quadrant 4. And today I want you to take your piece of paper and you're going to fold it this way, and then you're going to fold it this way. Okay? So we have 4 quadrants. Okay? 4 quadrants. And the first quadrant, you're going to name that parallel line segments. So in the first quadrant, you're going to relax yourself, get yourself all ready to draw. Just get loose, okay? And you're going to go into the first quadrant and you're going to draw parallel line segments. And let's start up in the upper left-hand corner of quadrant 1. Okay, they don't all have to be the same length, but they do have to be the same distance apart from its neighbor, okay? And then we're going to do the next set. Okay, we'll just do this. Okay, that's close enough. And do 5 or 6 of them. Parallel line segments. And you're trying to get your hand loose. And just draw until you fill up the entire quadrant with parallel line segments. Feel as though you're drawing from your belly button. Okay? Your hand does not have a death grip on the pencil. You're not going like this. You're just kind of drawing from the center of your body. Okay? And I don't care if it looks perfect. I don't care what just get going on it, okay? Parallel line segments. Fill up the entire quadrant with the parallel line segments. Now we're going to go to the second quadrant. The second quadrant is circles, okay? We're doing circles, okay? Again, loosen up your hand. Go around in a circle. If you don't like the way it looks, go around it again until you get it round enough. Fill up the second quadrant with circles. Okay, all the way around. And when you get through, go back and fill up the circles with other circles, trying to stay away from the walls of the circle you just drew. Okay? And it might be a little bit awkward at first, but relax until you get them filled up. Now we're going to go to the third quadrant. We're going to make ellipses. So it's easier for me to draw this way, so I'm going to look this way, okay? An ellipse. Okay, it's a squished circle. Okay, put ellipses inside of ellipses, and straight ones, crooked ones. This is what the ellipse looks like. Fill up the entire quadrant with ellipses, and do it freely and very easily. Okay, now we're up to arcs, okay? Pretend you're drawing a circle and you get part of the way and you stop. Then you do it again. Okay, we're going to do it little parts of arcs. Okay? arcs. Get used to doing it. Try to draw it from your center. Okay, when you get all through filling up all 4 quadrants, turn the paper over. Now we're ready to start drawing our picture using these shapes. All right, the first thing we're going to do is in the first quadrant. Now let's pretend this is your first quadrant. It's bigger, but this is your first quadrant on the other side. You're going to draw an ellipse. Okay, let's see. Do I like this ellipse? Yeah, so I'll erase everything I don't want. There's my ellipse. Okay, then I'm going to put an ellipse inside of an ellipse and another ellipse inside of an ellipse. Now what we're drawing is the can. Okay, we're starting off with the can. Now, if you look at the can this way, you see a circle. Okay, we're here, right. If you're looking at it this way, you get a circle. But if you look at it a little bit this way, now you don't have a circle anymore, you have an ellipse. And that's what we just drew, the top of the can. Now, we put in 2 parallel lines, segments. Parallel line segments starting at the corners of the ellipse. Draw straight down, okay? And we know that they're parallel because if I measured between the 2 lines, okay, I've got that point right there. Now I'm going to go down here and see if it's the same. Yes, it's the same. So I know that they're parallel. Now I'm going to connect the bottom using an arc that's the same shape as that part of that arc from that ellipse up there. Now, if you want to make it look like it's round, you start at the edge and you make little pieces of arc. Okay, make it come out and follow the same line that you already started. Follow the same line. Okay? All right, kind of looks like a roll of toilet paper. So, let's go along and let's make a little label on this that says something like beans or soup or something, okay? And I would say the label is going to be right about here, and I'm going to use that to make my beans. B-E. Notice this has to follow that arc. It has to follow the arc that we just drew. Okay. All right. Now, we're done with this one. Let's start with our next one. Our next can is going to be a smaller one. So, we're going to make the cat food can, and we're going to make another ellipse right here, right over the one that we started, the other can. And now we're going to drop down, right straight down, parallel line segments from the end of the ellipse. And this time we're going to drop it lower than the can we just drew. Okay, lower than the can we just drew. All right, now we're going to connect the bottom. Okay, now the reason I do it right over the one that we just drew is because it's easier for me to erase what we don't need than for me to try to draw around the other can, okay? So now we've got our cat food can. Now we're going to have to follow the line of the can, and we're going to write C-A-T, and we're following that curve. We did not write C-A-T straight across. We didn't do that. We followed the line of the curve, and we wrote C-A-T, following it, okay? All right, let's get rid of that because you don't need that. Now, remember, you're still doing the curve. And if you're using a pencil, it's so much easier. You don't have to draw these circular lines like I did there. You can lay the pencil down and go straight down with the pencil on the side of the lead and then skimble along with your finger, and that gives you a feeling of roundness. Okay, now we're almost out of time, so let's put in our light source. If the light source is over here, then directly opposed to the light source, you're going to have your shadow, okay? And then darken that area underneath here so that you know that it's seated, it's solid, okay? So what did we do today? We went through circles, And we saw it was a set of all points around a single point. And an arc is a piece of the circle. The circumference is this line that goes all the way around, and we've done circumference before. An ellipse is a squished circle. See, we squished the circle. And then parallel line segments. What makes those lines parallel? Because they are the same distance apart, just like the sides of your ruler. If I extended the sides of my ruler straight up and through the ceiling, they would always be the same distance apart, and this looks like it's about 1 inch, so that these lines would always be the same distance apart anywhere along there. And then we went over the word quadrant. Quadrant, if you're plotting points now, this is like a Cartesian coordinates, and this is the first quadrant, this is the second one, this is the third one, here's the fourth one. And we used all of these things to draw our cans. And I think you would be using all of those things to draw just about anything, okay? So this is Mary Smale. Today was drawing geometry shapes.